Hello, welcome back to another episode of In My Life with Ethan Riggs. This is our third episode, and I'm sitting down with a very special guest today. He is the voice of the Arkansas Travelers and has been now for years. That is Stephen Davis. Steve, thank you so much for coming in and hanging out today.
Yeah, absolutely. It sounds odd when you say years, but it is true.
It is
fact.
Dude, I was 20 the first time I worked a game for you.
Wow.
Which is... I can't believe they even let a 20-year-old be in there alone. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
With all that expensive equipment, and let me work the boards and stuff. But, dude, honestly, you're the reason I got hired in a way, because I was hired to be the Travs producer that year. And apparently, we had talked about it a little bit. That's not something you had before. You never had a producer that was there, 6 days a week, or it at least had been some time since you had that arrangement. So, how are things nowadays? Are you working with another guy?
It's different
fashion?
folks that rotate. Damon. Damon's here
Yeah.
most nights. Damon ends up doing a lot of the ball games. HB will pop in and do some. Trip will come back. You come back. So
Yeah.
we rotated through. Nobody's doing almost every game like you did that one year, which was impressive. I show up for every game, but I'm at the game. It's a little different for me. For you to show up and sit here in a studio where you can't see anything, you just got to listen to me drone on for 3 hours every night. It's a little different. So it was impressive, and I can't thank you enough for doing that year.
It's funny that you say it that way, because I almost think about it the opposite way, where I'm like, hey, dude, Steve has to have the energy every night. I don't have to be on air, projecting my voice and listing stats and writing stuff down. And just, that's the thing, is that you're also calling these games solo for the most part. Every now and again, you'll have somebody come in and they'll take over for a few innings. But it's like you are filling so much airtime, and especially with a sport like baseball, where the announcing it's always more conversational just in nature. How did you learn just to fill that amount of time?
People always are like, well, what do you talk about? And I'm like, well, I think doing sports talks harder, where these guys sit down and fill 3-4 hours with a show, because you're just talking. There's a baseball game going on. I get to talk about a baseball game. Like, it makes it a lot easier. You prep for the game. Some certain things are going to happen or might happen, or this guy's probably going to be around. Like, you can do some things to be ready, and then there's an actual game going on, and things happen within the game, and that leads to other things. And I don't find it that hard to fill the time overall. Now, there's times within an inning where it might be a little boring and you got to kind of scrap. And somebody was telling me last night that one of my go-tos has become to describe the sky. So we're going to try to not do that for a little bit now. No.
Well, that's just a baseball
we'll
cliche.
But yeah. There's always something going on. You just got to find it and talk about it. Like, you're literally watching a live event. There's something happening to talk about.
Well, and we're also just so fortunate, man. The Travs are such a well-funded organization. The ballpark is immaculate. I love going there to Dickey Stevens Park and seeing the guys. And you've gotten to see quite a few guys that came through and became really big major leaguers. Now, for those who are unaware, the Travs feed into the major league team, the Seattle Mariners, who have been excellent these past few years. And I don't know if you remember this specifically, because again, you just call so much baseball, but in 2023 we started with Brian Wu, and we had I think it was Emerson Hancock,
Bryce Miller.
We had like 3 pitchers, or maybe 4 pitchers, that started the year on our team. And then when the Mariners made the postseason that year, those guys were starting postseason games. I believe it was Wu mostly that was
Yeah, Wu would have
those.
been up there, but yeah, that group's all a big part of the Seattle rotation now still.
Well, and you get to those guys are still doing great stuff, but that's another great thing, where you're getting to interview these guys when they're young and they're on the come up, and it really is more about baseball at the AA level. You know what I mean? Obviously, it's sort of a thing now. We talk about the NBA and stuff. It's like, well, how many of these guys are just playing for the money? How many guys are like really passionate about the game? There's no question. If you look at the life of a minor league baseball player, there's no question that those guys are
They
doing
do have
it.
to grind.
Yeah.
And
so do you.
Yeah, they're there for the baseball. I mean, they're getting paid. There's no doubt about that. They're professionals. They get a check. And some of them got large signing bonuses, and if they make the major leagues, they're going to make a very nice check, and that's all part of it, and that's a great thing for those guys. And some of them are motivated by the money, and everybody is. Not everybody's working in something they enjoy. A lot of people are working to make money, so you can't begrudge someone for making money. And for those guys to do that, you do have to love what you're doing, though, because it's not get drafted, go straight to the big leagues. You've got to work to get there, and even the guys that are really high picks, like let's use Kate Anderson this year as an example, who's a 3rd overall pick last year, got several $1 million to sign, and probably will be in the major leagues sooner rather than later, the way he's pitched for the Travs this year. his stay in the minor leagues is going to be a lot shorter than a lot of guys, but Cade loves the baseball. He knows he's got to work and get better and prepare and do all these things to be able to be successful in the major leagues. It's not just give me my money, I want to show up. And these guys, they like each other. They like playing ball. They like coming to the ballpark every day. It makes what I do and having to be around them a lot more fun then, too.
I mean, you're with each other more than you're with your wives.
Yep.
You're with each other more than you're with your kids.
It's a baseball
anybody.
family.
Yeah, exactly. You have to get along. Otherwise, it's going to be a very long season, especially in the locker room. But the Travs always seem to get along, and we saw them win the championship. This was in 2024, I believe. And, dude, you were out there interviewing them on the fields. You know, they certainly, with how long you've called the Travs now, can you remind me how many years it's been? 10 years?
Yeah, 2017 was the first year. I like to say at this point, 10 years, 9 seasons, since we didn't play in 2020 because of COVID. So.
Right, yes, because the minor league season just got canceled that year. But this Travs organization almost accepts you as one of them. You know, I know that you occasionally will travel on the team bus as well.
Oh, yeah.
That must be a pretty cool experience, just getting to hang out with the guys for hours.
Well, I mean, we're all in our own seats. We're all staring at our own devices. We're just stuffed on the same bus. But yeah, for those of us, and I think a lot of people can relate to this, who wanted to be professional athletes and didn't have that much athletic ability, getting to hang around the guys that have that ability and kind of be in that lifestyle, even if it is 6 hours on a bus in the middle of the night through the state of Texas, it's pretty fun.
That is cool,
It's the closest I'm ever going to get to being a professional athlete, and I've gotten to do it for a lot more years than a lot of folks, so I feel blessed.
Well, there's no question that you're a professional broadcaster. You had to have been offered some larger gigs, correct, by this point? See,
I consider this a large gig, though.
The Travs is probably one of the more premier gigs in AA. I mean, not obviously we're biased as broadcasters, but you know, whenever we talk about all this turnover, right, that teams have, the Travs as just a team are always consistent. You know, we never are really finishing near the bottom of the league.
Nope.
We're always giving you something to root for. We always have at least 1 or 2 stars, like a Cade Miller.
And as you said, good people
and
as
good
well,
people,
which really makes the difference.
They'll throw your kid the baseball if your kid's holding a handout in the first row. Tickets are cheap, and the weather's not going to be. You know, obviously we're hitting summer now. You know, it's hot, but look, man, on the cooler days that we get out here in Arkansas, you should be out at the ballpark supporting the Travs.
Even on the hot days, you can sit in the shade or get a drink.
That's true.
It's not that bad.
Yeah.
Really, I was talking with our assistant general manager last night, and we were talking about, you know, what's heating up, folks still going to come out, and he's like, once the sun goes down, it's not bad in the stands.
Yeah.
Once the sun sets a little bit, about 5:30, 6 o'clock, you get a breeze. The ballpark is nice and cool, actually.
And we're starting tonight's game, you said, at 6:30.
Yeah.
So I mean, you're going to go out there and be cool the whole time, you know, even from the start. So just go out there and support the Travs. We're having a pretty good season. I produced the last game of this past series. That was against the Naturals, correct?
Yes.
And we almost swept them. The game that I produced, unfortunately, we lost. But we went 4-1 or 5-1 during the last week. We've had a pretty good season so far.
Well, when you win more than you lose, you're having a good season in baseball. And the Travs have won a lot more than they've lost so far this season. So we'll take it. You know, it makes it more fun to be around the guys. Baseball's one of those games, though, especially at the professional level. You play it every day, essentially. You can't get too high when you're winning. You can't get too low if you lose. Every day you come back, it's a brand new deal. But when you're having more good days in the win column than bad days in the loss column, overall, everybody's just kind of got a little better vibe to them as well. As one of the players said the other day, we were talking about how awesome the team is, but with what we were just talking about and how everybody gets along and the camaraderie and how these guys actually genuinely are friends and like each other. And he goes, and winning doesn't hurt either. And that's just the cherry on top of all of it, is that you've got some pretty good ball players and you go out and score more runs than the other team most nights.
They say winning cures all. Winning cures all, especially in sports. Okay, so I want to go back a little bit because we were talking about, okay, you're almost 10 years now, 9 seasons with the Travs, but 10 calendar years coming up. But you were with the Naturals before that, and you were with them in 2009 or 2010 was your first year?
2008 through 2013.
Okay, and what was that in-between stretch from 2013 to 2017? I didn't know that you had a time where you're not calling baseball.
So, I mean, you want the long version or the short version?
I want Whichever version you like to tell, but preferably the long version if it's up to me. Hey, dude, this is a fun hang. I'm having such a great time. For those actually, just for context, me and Steve, it's funny, we've known each other for 3 years, but this is actually our first time even meeting each other in person. That's the life of radio.
But we feel like we know each other.
Exactly. We've had so many conversations. When I was producing with you in that 2023 season, I was hanging out with you more than anybody, more than my girlfriend at that time, you know?
Oh, that's a scary thought.
That is a scary thought, and it's why she's my girlfriend at the time. But but Steve, I mean, seriously, if you want to give the long version, I'd love to hear it.
Okay, so long version, took the job with Northwest Arkansas when the franchise moved to Springdale in 2008. They had been in Wichita, Kansas previously. They were a Royals affiliate, and I had been working with one of the Royals' lower-level clubs down in rookie ball the previous 3 years. Was very fortunate enough to get that job and make a big jump up to AA. It was also right at the time I started dating my wife. We're both from the Kansas City area, and she finished nursing school the next year, moved down to Arkansas with me as we got married. I'm thinking this is the greatest thing in the world. I'm calling baseball in the summers there, and we're living down there, but I was calling basketball back in Kansas City in the winters. Then we started having a couple kids, and all of a sudden it was like she wanted to be closer to family, and I kind of did too, so we moved home base instead of being in Springdale full-time back to the Kansas City area. Her family was close, about 45 minutes away, same for my family. And I did the commute thing for a couple summers down to Northwest Arkansas with the Naturals and with really young kids. It just didn't make sense at the time to keep doing that family-wise. I loved the job, loved the organization. A lot of the Naturals leadership it's the same people that I worked with there, that they're good friends. I can't say enough good things about them and the Royals organization, but it was time to make a change at that point. So I spent a little bit of time looking for something else closer to home and landed doing some Kansas Jayhawk baseball for 3 years. TV, it was back when streaming was just starting to come into college, which kind of feels like everybody does it now because they do.
So this was the Jayhawk season in 2013. 2014.
Yeah,
and you're absolutely right. Cable is starting to shift a little bit.
Yes, this was right when ESPN Plus was coming on board. ESPN 3, as it was known back then, before they made the shift. SEC Network Plus was just in its infancy back then, too.
Yeah.
And KU was one of the first teams to put every home baseball game on with a full TV production on a streaming platform. And they hired me to call the games. So it had that shift. I was still doing basketball back there. It just made a lot more sense to be home in the Kansas City area. And then you do that for a few years, take a shot at
4 years.
Yeah, 3 years.
3 years.
Take a shot at a few other jobs. Nothing works out. And my wife noticed, and I really noticed, every night in the summer months, about 7 o'clock at night, I'd start getting a little tick, a little itch, like I should be somewhere else that night. It would pass, but it was just like, man, I wonder what I'm missing out on.
Yeah.
Not being at a minor league baseball game tonight, not being at the ballpark, not calling a game somewhere, because the college season ends start of June, basically. June, July. I'm like, what am I doing all summer here? I was doing football in the fall, I was doing basketball in the winter, I was doing baseball in spring. It was great. But summer months, and so every few years you reevaluate life. And after a while, I looked around and I was like, you know what? I kind of miss working in minor league baseball. Talked to my wife, and I'm like, hey, let's take a shot at this. So nothing. I mean, KU was great. It was fun. But it was like, all right, let's see what's out there for professional baseball again. And at that point, it was, cross your fingers and hope that you could either get back into the rookie ball level I'd been at.
Which is single A.
Yeah, right at the bottom. Is going to be short season. They play about 70, 80 games. It was not going to be close to home. Maybe I can get one of those jobs again.
What are those broadcasts even on, by the way?
They're on radio stations.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
depending on what town you're in.
Cool.
It's kind of, same deal here in the Texas League. Not everybody's on radio. It just depends on your market.
Yeah. I was just curious if there was like a website or something.
Yeah, everybody broadcasts it through their website too.
Okay, good. So there's digital streams as well.
Yeah, we're on digital stream here. You know that.
Well, I was going to say though, but we're AA, and again, we are the Travs. I mean, I'm not trying to brag on us too hard, but we are very well off.
My first rookie ball stop was in a good sized town in Idaho.
Yeah,
and people really cared about the team out there. Anyway, so
awesome.
Started looking around again. And I'm thinking, I have to go back to rookie ball or maybe do the commute thing again. And all the teams that were within range in my mind for commuting, I either knew the broadcaster or knew the guy wasn't leaving or something along those lines. Like that job's not going to be open or they're not going to have a commuter position or whatever. So I sent out emails to everybody I knew in baseball. And 2 days later, I mean, you think it's going to be like maybe a week or two, maybe one person gets back to you, a couple people. 2 days later, I get like 5 emails from people in the Texas League. Hey, the guy who's been in with the Travelers is leaving. Should we tell them to call you? Or do you want to reach out to them? I was like, some version of that. I was like, I hadn't even thought about the Travs.
Huh.
Little Rock just never crossed my mind because it's 6 hours from Kansas City.
Yeah.
I hadn't even thought of, well, that could be a commute. Like, you're not going to go back and forth every day, but when you're here during the homestand or road trip, you're just gone. So it was like, all right, well, let's check in and see. And I still knew the people running the team from when I'd been in the league, and they were excited that I would be interested. I was excited they would be interested, and it was almost not even an interview process at times.
They were just like, oh, you're willing to do it.
It was more of, hey, how can we make this work for everybody? And it's been awesome. The people are great. The front office leadership has changed a couple times with some people getting promoted, and it still feels like family. And very thankful that they took the chance to bring me back in, and very lucky when you get out of a profession to be able to get back in that same niche of the profession at the same level you left it a few years later is almost unheard of. To be able to pull that off, it still boggles my mind to this day, and so I'm very thankful.
So would you say you came back a new man? Would you say you came back and you were like, now you just had maybe a new appreciation for it?
Yeah, I was very excited to be back here. And the same thing happened after COVID.
Yeah.
We came back in 2021, and I remember we were playing 3-hour and 48-minute games. This is before the pitch clock. If folks have been to a minor league game or major league game, the pitch timer speeds things up. That's a fairly new addition.
By the way, baseball has made just several great changes. The pitch clock is one of them. It was probably the first of some of these great changes in recent years, but that's just another reason, man. You go to the Travs, and it's like a 2.5 hour game most of the time.
We average about 2:30.
And if it's not, it's because we're hitting it out of the park. So.
Right. So we came back a year after COVID. I was like, this is great. We're playing 3-hour and 48-minute awful baseball games that have walks, and then we're all just joking about how long these games are, but we're so happy to be back.
Yeah.
It does give you a new appreciation when you've been away from something for a while, and it's weird. You come back for the off season, you come back here, and the Travs family reunites, the fans and the whatever group of players you have, and I get to see our front office folks again because I'm not around a lot in the winter, and you do get the appreciation again, even after an off day. Sometimes you come back and you're like, it's good to be back on a Tuesday.
100%. I mean, it was just great to get back to regular life in 2021, man.
Well, let's save that for another podcast.
Yeah, I was going to say, Steve, we'll debate the world's issues some other podcast. But okay, so you come back to the Travs, and this was in 2017. Now, you got to see Julio Rodriguez come in, and what year was he drafted?
He was 2021. He had signed pre-COVID as a teenager in the Dominican Republic, but he played for us in 2021.
And I'm trying to remember, was there anybody like just super of note? I wasn't keeping up with baseball a whole lot.
So the 2019 team was loaded with prospects.
Yeah.
Was really highly ranked and won a lot of ball games. Most of those guys didn't go on to make an impact with the Mariners, or in some cases make a huge major league impact overall anyway. Kyle Lewis won a Rookie of the Year, but it was in a COVID-shortened season. Evan White won a Gold Glove, but he batted like 180 that year, so a lot of folks looked down on that. But guys had some good moments in the big leagues. But at the end of that season, they sent some more young guys up, and two of that group was Logan Gilbert, who's still in the big leagues with Seattle pitching for him.
He's basically our ace.
And Cal Raleigh, who, of course, hit 60 home runs last year and won the Platinum Glove the year before that, and is
Raleigh's
one of
awesome.
The biggest players in baseball.
This is my point. Another reason you should go out to see the Travs is you're going to see guys like Mike Trout before they're Mike Trout. Yes. You're going to see Julio Rodriguez before he's in MVP races and stuff like that. You can see these guys when they're 21,
and you
22.
can tell watching them. And there's other guys like – the general rule of thumb we have is if a player gets to the AA level, they have at least one quality that is major league caliber right then.
Yeah, it's their bat or it's their
the
glove.
Rest of the game they're trying to work on. Or in some cases, like when Julio was here, you're like, yeah, that guy's almost ready in every facet.
Yeah.
And sure enough, he was the opening day center fielder the next season.
He reminded me so much of Acuna.
Yeah.
Like a guy that has such a heavy bat but is stealing bases
and a flair and wants to be in the spotlight.
And he's in the outfield, but he's still making highlights, just such an awesome talent that we got to have. Now, how long was he even with us? He was with us in 2021. Was he with us the whole season?
No, he came up during the year.
They knew.
And he actually left twice during that season because that was, again, because of COVID, the Olympics had been delayed that year, and baseball was in the Olympics.
Wow.
I think the Olympics were in Japan.
I can't remember.
Somewhere in Asia.
But yeah, so we were having Olympics in 2021.
Yes, and Julio was on the Dominican Olympic team that year, so he had to leave for an Olympic trial, a qualifying tournament He'd been here about a week, and he has to leave for the Olympic qualifying tournament. Comes back, plays for a few weeks again, then leaves for the Olympics, and he's gone for like a month. Then he came back and played the last 5 weeks of the season with the Travs. So it was 1 year, but he had 3 stints where he missed time to go over and represent the Dominican Republic in the Olympics.
What a superstar.
And he won a bronze medal.
Wow.
Yeah, so he comes back with a bronze medal.
He comes back and he's like, hey, guys, and he's biting the bronze, making
literally,
sure
we
it's
have a
real.
picture of him with his mom at Dickie Stevens Park, and Julio's got the medal around his neck.
Wow. And this guy was in our backyard.
Yeah.
And he was with us for, not unfortunately super long, but most of the time
he
you
was
see.
19, 20 years old at the time.
Wow.
Super mature.
Yeah, what was your impression of him, off the field?
This
you get
guy's
to
not
interview.
real. Yeah.
Really?
My first impression of him was, this cat's more mature than I am, and I'm 20 years older than he is.
Really?
It was staggering.
Yeah.
For a kid, as he says, who grew up in Loma de Cabrera, he's just a kid from a small town in the Dominican Republic. Really mature, really smart, spoke English better than either of us. Just an amazing human with the head he had on his shoulders, and the people that were in his ear making sure he did the right things, and the way he carried himself, it was fantastic.
Now, I'm curious about something, just to go back to your story. You mentioned, of course, every it's very natural, every 4 to 5 years, you do reevaluate life. Well, you were doing the stuff with the Naturals for 5 years. You did Kansas Jayhawk baseball for 4 years or 3 years. But you've been with the Travs now for the longest, almost double your amount of time.
Longest I've worked anywhere.
So clearly you've reevaluated during this period and liked it.
Yeah.
You like being the Travs guy. So what would you say is the difference now? Is it because you had the stint and you left and came back, and now you're just like, I'm not letting this go?
There's a lot of parts that go into it. That is one part of it.
Sure.
Also, when you have a family and kids you have to support, you've got to make sure you have a job. You don't want to give up a good job.
Yeah. Well, and obviously I know that, you're traveling a lot and stuff, but I've even met your kids on air. Your son has put on the headset and said hello to me before. So they're
I have
even
a very
getting to
patient,
travel.
caring wife
Yeah.
who puts up with me doing this. The kids don't know any different, really.
Sure.
As sad as that is.
Well, but you're home once a week.
Once a week in the summer. It doesn't sound like a lot when you say it out loud. No, it's in fact, right before we went on to record this podcast, I was checking in on a couple of them just to make sure they're okay. Shoot a text message.
I think it's also partly the times is that you're just able to keep up with people in a different way.
I don't know how people did it being gone with traveling and everything before text messaging, and especially before FaceTime where you couldn't see anybody.
30 years ago. What were they doing?
It's much different now than, say, when I was a kid.
Yeah.
And my dad traveled a decent amount. He did this same type of profession, and it was just, but I was an only child. It was just me and my mom. My kids are not only children. So, family's very patient with me, especially my wife. And the older you get, Ethan, it's interesting. You tend to reevaluate and assess your spot in life sometimes more often and sometimes less often.
Really?
Depending on where you are. So,
wow.
Yeah.
Some knowledge being dropped right here.
Everybody's different is the knowledge.
Okay.
Do whatever works for you.
It's at your own pace.
I like this job, and I'll keep doing it as long as I can.
I mean, I read Joe Buck's book that he wrote 8 years ago or something like that, and he talked about his dad, Jack Buck, being on the road all the time, but he loved his dad, and he got to travel with his dad all the time and stuff, and got to see cities as a kid that
my kids love Tulsa and Springfield.
Exactly.
Those are the places they've gotten to go.
Yeah, your kids are getting to see all these places, and that's great for their just life perspective, honestly, in general. I loved getting to live outside of Arkansas. I didn't live in Arkansas my whole life, and it was great getting to just see different kinds of people, But so almost 10 years now with the Travs, and earlier I didn't mean to just breeze by this. There's no way the future does not hold for you, at least AAA or major leagues. Now, I'm not trying to say anything here because you're wonderful with the Travs, and I don't want you going anywhere. I want to produce with you on the broadcast.
I won't be here forever. I'll put it that way.
I was going to say, as somebody that listens to you, there's no question. I mean,
it's at some point.
Yeah.
I won't call Travs games. I don't know if I'll be calling games for anybody else sometime, but I'm gonna It's the other thing I've discovered over the years, and it's old man perspective at this point. But
you're not even old. You're early 40s, right?
That's old.
You're not.
Ask my kids. It's really old.
Dude, my siblings think I'm old, and I'm 23. To them, if you're tall, you're
if you're
old.
enjoying what you're doing, it's good.
Yeah.
It's good, and I enjoy working here. I mean, honestly, when I got into this, people are like, "Oh, what are your goals?" People want to work. I want to do this, call games for this big league team, or call these national games. And I was like, I want to work for good people and with good people.
Yeah.
Every place I've
So
worked,
your goal has
box
been
checked on both of those.
So you've achieved your goals.
Yes.
And you're still
Maybe I need some different goals.
And you're still a not old man. I don't care
But,
what you say.
I don't want to say I'll be happy if I never call a big league game, but that's not my goal at this point.
That's fair. But was it ever your goal? Like,
yes and no.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't get into this going, yeah, I want to call AA and I'm done. But you don't get to AA and go, I want to get out of here either.
I see what you're saying.
It's
perspective.
It's the same as for the players. In a way, they talk about, you got to be where your feet are and embrace that. And, they don't want to be here. They want to be AAA or the big leagues. But you got to be here while you're here and do the best you can while you're here. So.
And that's probably why you're one of the best, man, because
I appreciate that.
your presence.
There's a lot of good broadcasters out there.
There are a lot of good broadcasters. We've gotten to, that's the funny thing is that off air, right? We'll do a mic check before the game and we'll talk or whatever. But I'll sometimes hear you talking to the other team's announcers and stuff. Like, you guys all know each other.
Oh, that's some of my
best
friends.
You guys are all friends. Yeah, because you guys are all traveling, living the same lives. And the truth is, sometimes you're in a city and you're probably the two broadcasters, and it's like, let's go out and get some pizza or something, It probably happens all the time.
It happens a lot, especially when you're around for a few years and you get to know the guys. And
that's kind of a funny thought, though, just like the enemy announcers are just like, you want to go get a beer or something?
But they're not enemies. They're your friends. They're the ones in the same boat as you. It's
your contemporaries.
Yes. It's weird because the players have other players on the team. The coaches have other coaches. They're staff members, but I'm kind of the outlier. But I've got the buddy on the other side who does stuff. So, you tend to hit it off with the other broadcaster just because you're in the same boat a lot of times.
So was it ever a situation where did you ever have a two-man booth, like same guy for the whole season? Was that ever a thing?
I had a couple times with the Naturals, either an intern or somebody that was there most of the time on the road, but not anything for more than a year. Never had a long-term partner. Now, basketball, when I do that back in Kansas in the winters, I've got the same guy every home game, and he was actually one of my teachers in middle school. So that's I've known him for a long, long time.
Well, and let's go into this. So you're not just doing the Travs whenever the Travs are in the offseason. Now, if I remember right, it's Kansas women's basketball, correct? Now, is this their radio or is this some TV stuff? Because I feel like I remember seeing you on ESPN at some point.
Yeah, so
how about that, guys?
It was TV for them for a while. I do TV stuff for KU in the offseason, and it was women's basketball a little bit, some men's basketball, and some baseball, even after I came back to the Travs. And then a few years ago, they called, and 2 weeks to go in the Travs season, they're like, hey, our women's basketball radio guy's leaving. Would you be interested in interviewing for that? I was like, well, yeah, let's see. So I now do radio for the KU women for every game, home and away. Awesome, great group of people.
Yeah.
30-plus games. It's a lot of fun. It's similar to what Phil Elson's doing with the Razorbacks, essentially. We have coaches show each week. I'm part of the quote-unquote family there. I say I'm the weird uncle who just shows up for the games. And then I still do a handful of the men's basketball games on TV, which is probably what gets me noticed.
I was going to say maybe that's where I've seen you.
It's Kansas basketball, which for people outside Kansas is a big deal, but for people there is...
Well, me and you always like to argue about this because, come on. I mean, our pronunciation is probably the more, Arkansas, Kansas, whatever. We don't have to get into this.
Just depends on where you are. But to be...
We don't have to argue,
To be calling basketball games on TV in what some say is the greatest venue in sports, period, and I think unarguably...
Bud Walton Arena? No.
Yeah, unarguably the greatest in college basketball. To be in Allen Fieldhouse and calling games, you're not going to turn down that opportunity.
So were you getting a call like Embiid back in the day? When did this opportunity begin for you?
So it was after Embiid and Wiggins that season. It was probably like a year or two later. I started working in on a few of the men's games, and I've called 3, 4, 5, 6 of the early season games that are on ESPN Plus.
Like out-of-conference opponents,
right? It's what I call the games for the diehards.
Yeah.
The early season games that aren't picked up by ESPN or ESPNU.
But that's great because if they're not on ESPN or ESPNU, they have to listen to you.
Well,
right?
sure.
You're
They're forced
you're
to.
the broadcaster. Yeah, they're forced to.
And
but,
the other part of it is, that's home. That's
Yeah.
that's where I grew up. That's my alma mater. So
Yeah.
it means a little more to be there. And I
Yeah.
worked for Coach Self in the basketball team when I was in school. So to be there now, as he says, on the back nine of his career,
Really?
and be around him a little bit again, it's been fun. And even if it's only for 5 games early in the season, and then same with the baseball team, still do a couple games early in the year before I come back down here and get a little TV in me.
So you're just on good terms where it's like, hey, just reach out.
It's, I got to stay on good terms. But
Sure.
yeah.
Well, that's another thing is that, we were talking about, like, I don't know, a lesson or something like that, but you clearly never, burned any bridges or anything, because you say it's incredible that it happened once, right? Where you left AA base or just single A baseball, minor league baseball in general, came back and got to call it like you have. How lucky you are to do that. But you also, in a way, left the Kansas gig and then got to go back and do that, right?
It's funny, like, people will ask me, how long have you been doing KU women's games? Or how long have you been with KU? And I'm like, specifically KU women's radio or just with KU in general?
Because if it's KU, it's
and I'm like,
15
off
years,
and on
right?
since I've been in school. I've worked for them. Like, I feel like
What years? What years? Mid-2000s?
So my 4 years in school working for the basketball team were Roy Williams' last 2 years and Bill Self's first 2. 2002 through 2005. Those March Madnesses.
Wow.
Starting with back-to-back Final Fours, 2002 and 2003, with guys like Wayne Simeon and Keith Langford and Aaron Miles and Nick Collison and Kirk Heinrich were on the start of those teams. Yeah, we were pretty good. And then 2005 got upset in the first round.
Yeah.
And his career ends that way as a manager. So.
But you got to see great players, and you got to see...
and was around them every day.
Yeah.
And having grown up there around Kansas basketball, and then to get to be, quote-unquote, part of the program, it's just I still shake my head at that.
Tell me what the newsroom looks like at a college like that when Roy Williams leaves campus. It's probably just papers everywhere. You're freaking out. You're like, this was our guy. For how many years was he there?
He was there 15 years.
Exactly. He was there since the 80s.
And he'd already turned down North Carolina once. We don't need to go into that. But it was.
But you got Bill Self. But at the time, you don't know that Bill Self's coming in and he's going to be this amazing, great coach for you. It's like, we just lost the guy who coaches the Olympics.
Yeah. And. Yeah, it was.
What was that like covering that? That's such a great.
Well, I didn't cover it. I was working for the team.
Oh, so you couldn't cover it in a sense. You had
I didn't do any broadcasting until after I was out of school. Never took a class. Never did anything in school. Nothing.
So the Naturals, right? Is that your first?
Idaho Falls was my first gig.
Okay, Idaho Falls. That's right.
And it was. I was very last minute deal my last year in college to decide to go into broadcasting.
Huh. And it changed the rest of your life.
Well.
For the better.
Sure. Changed the rest of my life. We don't know if it's better or not because there was no other path. That was the path I took.
So you're growing up, you're thinking broadcasting the whole time? Was there never a situation?
Never.
Really? Okay, so what were you thinking about as a kid? What was your path?
I knew I would work in sports. Couldn't see myself sitting in an office. Didn't want to do that.
Wanted to travel.
My dad was a broadcaster. It was the last thing I thought I would do. Absolute last thing I thought I would do. Maybe I'll be a newspaper writer. Maybe I'll work in an athletic department. Maybe I'll go into coaching, and maybe I'll teach and coach. Who knows? Something along those lines. And you get into college, and you start going, well, what am I going to do for a job? I got to graduate here at some point, get out of school, can't keep paying for this, and need to find a job. And,
oh, yeah.
The only thing at that point I was really trained to do, like, I'd changed majors like 4 times, never gotten far into any of them, finally ended up getting a degree in American Studies, which isn't going to get you into any career. It was great. I learned a lot of stuff, but...
Yeah, dude, now you're a history, whiz.
The only thing I was, like, trained to do probably was to coach, but I didn't have teaching certificate. Like, I wasn't going to be in education. I wasn't going to be able to coach and teach. So if I was going to get into college basketball coaching, I was probably going to have to go to, like, coaching JUCO and talking to people about that. It just didn't get me fired up. Plus, I kind of like the idea of being around multiple sports. How can I be involved in basketball and baseball and football or whatever I wanted to be around? And I didn't want to sit in an office and do the athletic department thing at that point. So I thought, and I said, you know what? I've always told my dad broadcasting was easy. I can do that. So I said, hey, Dad, what do I do? And he goes, talk to these couple people. They're a lot younger than I am. They'll know what to do to help you get in.
Okay.
They said, record some games. Make a couple tapes. Send them off. See if you can get a job. If you want to work in baseball, go to the winter meetings. Well, long story short, made a couple tapes on Royals games, not even full games, just like, here's 3 innings. And they sounded awful.
Well, you would sit in front of the TV, have a tape recording yourself announcing as if you're there.
No, I would do it
right?
there.
Oh, you were in the booth.
Yeah,
okay.
I would be there.
I was thinking you were at home for a second,
I'd
doing
announced
a
games for
demo.
years, playing video games or playing by myself in the backyard, and I just didn't even know I was doing it.
You had the reps.
Yes. So long story short, made these tapes, sent them off, and got a tip on one place to send them, which was Idaho Falls, because one of the Royals broadcasters told me that the guy that was there was probably not coming back.
Yeah.
Well, they'd had guys churn through every year, and at that point, you had to go to the winter meetings to get a job, and it was chaos in the lobby at the winter meetings, and GMs would get inundated with 200 kids handing them tapes right out of school, and here's my resume, and I've called these games in college, and here's my tape, and the GM in Idaho Falls didn't want to mess with that again, and he got a tape from a guy, and a couple of people with the Royals said, hey, this is a good person.
And it was yours.
Why don't you hire him? He said, your tape sounds all right. You want to have that job starting when you graduate next May? And I was like, yes.
So it was next May in 2008. So
no, it's 2000. It was before Thanksgiving in 2004.
Oh, okay.
And I graduated in May of 2005. And the day I graduated, had a little get together at the house for family and friends, packed up the car, and left that night to start driving to Idaho.
And this was 05. You start calling
Yep.
Idaho Falls.
And Idaho Falls was a great place to start because they had 2 veteran announcers who were willing to be mentors. They did the home games. I did the road games. And when the team was at home, I did media relations and ran stats and played the music in the ballpark and was the PA announcer during the games and did all this other stuff. It was a great way to ease into it. But yeah, the first thing I ever did that was broadcast anywhere was an actual game on the radio in Idaho Falls, Idaho. And it probably didn't sound great. It took me a while to get into it, but they were great. They were encouraging, and they were very supportive of me, and I was loyal to them. Ended up staying out there 3 summers.
That's great.
But yeah, that was the start, and it was not how I thought I'd get into it, and just kind of stumbled into this, and here we are 20-some years later.
Oh, I was going to say, I was trying to make it look like it was an 08 because I was like, that's 18 years now this year.
No, don't say the number.
But
it's
now,
over 20
yeah.
though.
Well, I was going to say, so if you started in 05, no, I won't say the number.
Yeah.
But,
but straight, I mean, literally graduated
well,
school and left for my first job. Very lucky to be able to have that because I know a lot of people don't have that where you have a job. Like, I remember all my friends in college, like, they were figuring out what they were going to do for a job. And I'm like, I have my first job, and it's not even Thanksgiving of my last year of school.
Yeah.
So very fortunate to have that. And then, of course, that job, I didn't realize it at the time, was only a 4-month job.
Mm-hmm.
And about 3 months into it, I went, what am I going to do in a month? And I ended up back in my parents' basement with no job.
So you were right back with them.
I was right back at home going, okay, I guess we're starting from square one again here for this winter until it's baseball season again.
The life of a broadcaster, man. It's funny.
You know this too. You got to find gigs
I see
and hit and miss. And unless you're fortunate enough to work at a place that will hire you full time, whether it's, in my case, a baseball team or in the case of a lot of the folks in the building we're in right now, a group that owns a bunch of radio stations, you're scrapping.
Now, you got the Travs were acquired by the Buzz, right, for that 23 season going forward?
No, we got a contract.
Okay.
Travs were independently owned and are still independently owned, but sold a couple years ago to Diamond Baseball Holdings.
Okay, but 2023, that was your first year being broadcast by us,
yes,
right?
We've been on other stations
apps.
Previously.
Yeah. So this is a good relationship, I would say.
Love it.
If we're 3 to 4 years in, you guys are on every night. We had you on the Buzz just the other day.
As when we were first working with Justin to get the deal done.
This is Justin Acree,
Justin
by the way.
Acree. One of our lines that went back and forth was it just makes too much sense for us to be affiliated with them and for them to be affiliated with us. And one of the big reasons it was able to happen, because the Buzz has so much programming, was when they got the second all sports channel, 106.7 Buzz 2. Well, what do we do with Buzz 2? Let's get something local on there. Well,
6 days a week. Why not?
Travs are looking for a home. They're looking. It ended up being a great match, and obviously they've got A-State football on there, and they run all sorts of UALR programming with sports. So it made a lot of sense for them to have a second signal and for us to be on it.
We needed a station where we could just play ESPN radio in between all of our games, especially we're in a time now where we have all these sports that converge, right, with basketball, baseball. Now we're finally past that, but we hit that again in like September, October, whenever you get the major four, you get NHL, MLB, NBA, and NFL are all playing in like the same week, and it's such a fun time. But for us, programming wise, it is pretty bizarre.
Yes.
Like you have to, you're going to cut to a game that's in the middle of going because that's what ESPN Radio is putting out, and then we're going to cut away from it before that game's even done because we have to get to the UALR stuff or whatever. Like there is so much broadcasting that goes into all that stuff. But I think I totally agree. Like it's been a beneficial relationship for both parties.
It's been fantastic.
We love having you guys. I mean,
I hope we could keep it going for a lot more years.
Well, we even have you guys on Out of Bounds and stuff. You're
Yes.
coming in doing weekly segments, so they're putting the name out there. Where else can the people find you? I do think we're probably going to go ahead and start wrapping things up here.
Go through the Travs website. It'll take you to travs.com/listen. It'll take you to the Buzz2's streaming to be able to listen. MILB TV, MLB TV streams all the games. Bally Sports Live app has them for free with the video feed. I still do radio broadcast, but it's like TV. But that's only for the home games. You get me. If we're on the road, you get whoever the home team's broadcaster is.
I was just about to say, on MILB TV, it's video, but it's our broadcast that is just like that is just
at the home
put
games.
over it.
Again,
at the
on
home
the road,
games.
it's their broadcast.
Huh. That's a little interesting.
It is. For Major League games, they've got a button you can press to pick whichever broadcast you want, and we're hopeful they'll get that at some point for the minor leagues.
Yeah, the technology side
so
of that
So when Travs
stuff is
fans tune in,
fascinating.
they can, because I know I've had multiple people go, we have to try to time you up with the stream, so if we want to listen to you and still watch the game.
Yeah.
Rather than listening
you
to
have to like delay
whoever in whatever city.
Yeah, you're right. You have to like delay the audio
Yeah.
to a certain point. People do that with Chuck Barrett and the Arkansas games because I'm sorry, we always get trashed by national announcers. They hate us. Well, Steve, I can't thank you enough for coming on and being a guest on the pod. Is there anything that we should go over before? I mean, I don't want to take up too much of your time, but it's just like I feel like we captured your journey to get here. And to be honest, I just want to say it again. I mean, you're totally on the point of breaking through, man. I think like
I appreciate that.
Well, if you think about guys like Kevin Harlan, and guys that we've had conversations about, they were in their mid to late 40s. Whenever you start you have a resume built enough to where you can take it to a ESPN or somewhere like that, and they say you're great. Like
Kevin Harlan's a different cat.
You met Kevin Harlan growing up. You knew him
known
as a
him
kid
for many years.
How about that? Do you still keep up with him?
Yeah, I haven't talked to him in a couple years.
He's doing Westwood One stuff now. He's great.
A busy guy. He's
oh yeah, you could say.
Yeah, he's probably just chilling for the summer right now, though.
Well, Steve, thank you so much, man.
All right, Ethan.